Hey y'all, welcome back to Cherry Hill Farm. Today we're going to get started planting some tomatoes, but one of the problems that comes along with having plenty of employees so that you can get things done is that as a manager you have got to stay 3 steps ahead. You always got to have a backlog in your mind of what are they going to do next, what are they going to do to fill their time when I can't be with them to supervise this project and that project. So they are picking strawberries right now. We don't have many to pick, so I gotta make this quick, but I'm trying to make sure that we got enough stuff lined up so that I can use my help the most efficient way, I guess is the best way of putting it. So we are fixing to plant tomatoes as soon as they get done picking strawberries, but right now, to minimize the amount of hooking and unhooking that I gotta do, I got all my fertilizer spread yesterday, so now I am running my poor boy field cultivator over. I'd love to have a field cultivator, but I don't. My wants and needs outweigh my budget a lot of times, but what I do have is a good old 7-shank Taylor chisel plow, and I pull it just as deep as I've got the power for, which is pretty deep when I'm not pulling a mountain of dirt behind me, but you can see what a good job it does in our soil anyway. Pulling this chisel plow with a drag behind it, it does a really nice job of getting a field ready. So the reason that I needed to do this before I switch over to the Waterwheel transplanter on the back of the tractor is that as soon as we get done planting tomatoes, we're going to come down here and we're going to plant some okra plants on bare ground to get a little jump start on our okra crop, and then we're going to unhook and hook up the plastic mulch layer, and we've got about 3 or 4 acres of plastic to lay up through here. I'm not laying as near as much plastic as I normally do. I've already got a couple acres laid out front that the first crop of tomatoes are fixing to go in, but we're just gonna mainly have cucumbers, cantaloupe, squash, and tomatoes, I guess, will really be the only things that we're gonna put on plastic this year. All of our sweet corn, all of our green beans, okra, peas, everything else we're putting on bare dirt, because I've got this overhead system that I just bought. I believe I've showed y'all that in a prior video. I've still got to go pick up my 100 sprinklers that came with it and all the fittings, but I've also got this bunch of hard pipe that I bought last year, 3 and 4 inch. So we've got plenty of overhead irrigation capability now, which is something we've not had in the past. So anything that is feasible to do on bare ground, we're going to start doing on bare ground with overhead. I've got a farmall cub that's got belly cultivators on it, and I've also got a 3-point hitch cultivator. So you're always going to have weeds in your row middles, whether you're working with plastic mulch or whether you're on bare ground. Plastic mulch can be more difficult to work with because you're not going to run through there with a farmall cub right quick. And I know that's an antique tractor and that's not the most modern technology, but sometimes you don't need the most modern technology. You just need 30 minutes on a farmall cub and have your field good as new with all the weeds gone, and you hadn't even had to spray anything. So that's what I'm doing. I'm gonna get this, get the rest of this land worked. I got a little bit left up here to do on pea ground, which we're not gonna lay plastic on, but I would just assume to not have to hook back up to this chisel plow again and be able to move right on through things with the least amount of extra work. It is finally tomato planting time. These plants got a little bit bigger. We had to hold them a little longer than I would have liked, but they're still good solid plants. We are just running water in the Waterwheel transplanter. I'm gonna come back through with blocker and Derivo and put it directly in the holes. But for now, we're just planting with straight water, just for safety's sake. I wish we had put them all in these styrofoam trays, because these babies right here are ready to rock. There's little maters in behind them blooms on them. But now we know for the future. Well, if you didn't know that you could plant in the bare ground with a Waterwheel transplanter, now you do. And it actually works pretty well. We've done it several times before. Sometimes I forget about it myself, and because I just get hung up on the idea of using the tobacco setter. But this is 250 okra plants. Don't really know why we did 250. I guess because I've never transplanted okra before. I never really had the idea to transplant okra before, but okra is always so dang late for us, and also it rarely germinates real good in the field. It'll usually fill in the gaps, but I just thought if we started transplants, we'd have 100% stand, at least theoretically to start with, and then maybe get a little jump on the market. So I've never done it before this way, so I didn't know how it was going to do, and I didn't want to do too much of it, I guess is why I did that. But you also notice that we're growing it on bare ground. I've got to cut some costs somewhere. Labor's so expensive, and labor is a big piece of what makes plastic mulch so expensive, because you got to lay it and then you got to go back and get it all up. So some of the things like this that are not really necessary, okra tends to do better the more abuse it gets. I don't know if that was worded right. the more you abuse it, the better it does. Maybe that's a better way of putting it. But I am gonna direct seed some okra with a planter down through here. Probably use our international cyclo planter and plant a couple more full-length rows down through here, and that'll be all of our first plant of okra. I'll usually plant some more late in June because okra's bad to get so tall you can't hardly pick it. But I think we planted around 2,400 tomatoes. I'm not real exact on that figure. We got 2,000 more that'll be ready in about 10 days. The reason I split that up was to kind of spread my risk a little bit. These tomatoes were supposed to have been planted the 1st of April, but I just didn't have enough labor and everything here to make it happen. And then these other tomatoes were going to be planted about 20 some days later, but it didn't quite work out that way. Sometimes it don't. But I'm gonna wrap this video up here, and probably gonna be laying plastic mulch in the next video maybe, because I've got all this land fertilized and prepped and it's ready. So I appreciate y'all watching. I'll see you on the next one.